election next year. Since you have taken office as the Prime Minister of Malaysia, we have seen your relentless commitment to these special missions and at the same time and on many occasions, your direction of public attention to other issues for the benefit not only your countrymen, but the people of the whole ASEAN region. Thailand will certainly be able to work ever more closely with Malaysia and the other ASEAN members when it serves once again as the chair of ASEAN next year. Mr. Prime Minister, your visit to Thailand indicating the goodwill and good wishes of the Malaysian people and the special lecture you are shortly going to deliver are important events for our countries. And on our part, Chulalongkorn University can assure you of our continuing support to academic and research cooperation between our faculty members and academic staff with those of Malaysian universities. More than that, we, together with other universities in ASEAN, have created a regional education connection through the ASEAN University Network, which enables the members' universities to closely work together in academic and research matters, as well as students' exchange. We have also been promoting student exchange programs with our ASEAN neighbors, as well as with the academic institutions outside our region, in order to expand academic horizon of the young ones. This is because we are fully aware that our future is in the hands of the younger generations. We will not limit our cooperation with Malaysia to the academic sphere only, but we will also be ready to connect with other sectors, both the government and the private sectors. With fruitful outcomes of our cooperation, we should be able to direct our countries and the ASEAN communities towards sustainable development in terms of politics, securities, economics, and social and cultural matters. Thank you very much.
Now it is the time. I know that everyone in this auditorium is excited as much as I do to hear the talk by Dr. Mahathir. I therefore not use so much time introducing him. Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was born in 1925 in Alor in the state of Kedah in northern Malaysia. Dr. Mahathir, the son of schoolmaster, pursued his study in medicine. I think that's why he looked very healthy. After he graduated in 1953, he worked as a government medical officer until 1957, and then entered private practice. He was first elected to Parliament in 1964. Wow, that's the year I was born. As a member of United Malays National Organization, or UMNO, the dominant party with the ruling governmental coalition. In 1974, he was appointed Minister of Education. And in 1976, only 2 years later, he became Deputy Prime Minister. And in June 1981, was elected the President of UMNO. He became Prime Minister in July of that year and left the office in year 2003. During the 22 years as Prime Minister of Malaysia, one could easily observe Malaysia's transition to an industrial nation. His many economics program under the new economic policy that aims to reform the tax structure, to welcome foreign direct investment, to reduce tariff, and to privatize state-owned enterprises has benefited Malaysia immensely. His subsequent new development policy was geared towards boosting economic growth as well as eliminating poverty, had made Malaysia widely known throughout the world. One can easily see evidence how certain key social and economic indicators under his leadership improved tremendously. Importantly, from 1981 to year 2003, Dr. Mahathir did help not to let Malaysia fall under the Asian financial crisis of 1997. Many of us have thought like me that Dr. Mahathir would never be back to office again. But in January year 2018, Dr. Mahathir announced that he would stand as a candidate for Prime Minister. On 9 May year 2018, Dr. Mahathir won the election, and the next day he was sworn in as Prime Minister. Without further delay, may I now request Prime Minister Mahathir to deliver his talk. Your Excellencies, please.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President of Chulalongkorn University, ladies and gentlemen, I feel greatly honored that I should be asked to talk about Malaysia and Thailand at Chulalongkorn University. I am much more used to making political speeches, but anything that sounds academic is not my line of thoughts. Malaysia was not there when Siam was already a big nation in East Asia. Malaysia came into being only in 1957 as Malaya. The reason why Malaya was formed was because we had been under British rule for a long time, and then the British decided that instead of ruling by treaty with the Malay states, then the British wanted to make Malaya into one country open to everyone. At that stage, the people objected, the rulers also objected, and eventually we managed to change the plan from being a Malayan Union, a British colony, to being a federation of Malay states in the peninsula. We were yet not independent, but when we first amalgamated, but in 1957, we became a single state called Malaya. So Malaya's history is much shorter than that of Thailand. But nevertheless, even during the days before we became independent, we already had relations with Thailand. I come from the state of Kedah. Kedah is one of the states in Malaya which has borders with Thailand. Inevitably, there were exchanges of visits and also relationship between Kedah as a state, as a Malay state, and Thailand or Siam at that time. Several of our members of our royalty, the Sultanate of Kedah, several of them were educated actually in Bangkok. And he came to a stage where they could not speak Malay, they could only speak Thai. But they had to learn how to speak Malay again when they came back. And as it so happens that the first Prime Minister of Malaya was Tuku Abraman, and he was one of those who were educated in Thailand. So the relationship with Thailand is not only after independence, but it had occurred long before independence. Of course, sometimes there were disagreements between us, but most of the time we accepted the suzerainty of Siam, and as a token of our relation with Siam at that time, we annually sent gold and silver flowers to Thailand. This is something that we do because we acknowledge the fact that Thailand is a much bigger country, was a much bigger country than Malaysia. And certainly at that time, the peninsula was divided into 9 Malay states, and each one of them were very weak, and they couldn't actually defend themselves. When the British came, we gladly invited them to take over the running of the country. We believe that they will ensure that we will not be attacked by foreign countries. Unfortunately, the British disregarded the terms of the treaty and in fact ruled Malaysia as if it was a colony. In fact, it was only a state created through a relation created through treaties. We were not colonies of the British. During the war, the Japanese occupied Malaysia, and the Japanese decided that since Thailand was an ally of the Japanese, then the 4 Malay states in the north, Kelantan, Terengganu, Perlis, and Kedah, should be handed over to Thailand. And so for a time we were ruled from Bangkok. But when we struggled for independence from the British after they came back, there was no idea about joining Thailand. Instead, we wanted to become independent. The 9 Malay states wanted to become independent. And in 1957, after long negotiations with the British granted the Malay states independence as a single unit. That is to say, that is the Federation of Malay States of the peninsula. From then on, we had to carry out our own foreign relations. And among the first countries where we established diplomatic relation was Thailand. And it was to us a move that was going to be very beneficial because traditionally we have always been importing goods, fruits, and food from Thailand. The relationship was strengthened when Malaysia